Have you ever wondered what you would do if you won a Powerball jackpot? I know that I have, and I was looking at this article by CNBC that came out on January 1st. It's a $237 million Powerball jackpot. It's talking about what the tax bill would be. And I thought about, if I won $237 million, what would I do with that money? And I actually know, because I've thought about this question many times. And so I created this video because I outlined how by just using some of the money, you could not touch the principal, generate over $3.8 million a year in income, and that's still leaving well over $20 million to spend and do whatever you want with. So let's get into it. Okay, so the article starts out talking about how much taxes you would have to pay on that jackpot. Now, if you aren't familiar with the way that jackpots work when you win the lottery, the number that gets plastered everywhere is not the amount that you would actually take home. So that $237 million, that's if you choose an annuity. An annuity is when they pay it out over, let's say a 20 or 30 year period. And most people are going to choose the cash option. So the cash option is actually $160.7 million. Still a lot of money, I know. The article talks about how 24% would have to be withheld for your federal taxes. If you aren't familiar with the way withholding works, just because an amount is withheld, meaning taken out of the payment, doesn't mean that's what you actually owe. By making $160 million, lottery winnings counting as income, you'll probably be in the top 37% tax bracket. Now keep in mind, any information in this video is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's not investment advice. So don't try anything crazy. So what I calculated is that after paying your 37% federal taxes on your $160 million in winnings, you'd pay about $59 million in taxes. Now that's only federal taxes. Depending upon what state you live in, you might have to pay state taxes too. Now I live in Florida, so I'm not gonna talk about state taxes at all because I won't have to pay any state taxes. So $160 million, $59 million in taxes, it leaves us with about $101 million. And so what are we gonna do with that money? So right off the bat, to keep things simple, I'm gonna put $25 million in a municipal bond fund. Why am I gonna put it in a municipal bond fund? Well, if you're not familiar, generally speaking, municipal bonds are federally tax-free, which means you won't have to pay any federal taxes on the income that is generated from those municipal bonds. That's a good thing. And if you buy bonds in the state in which you live, then they're also state tax-free, and possibly you don't have to pay any local taxes as well. Now, given that I live in Florida, there are no state income taxes, so I can invest in any state's municipal bond funds and not have to pay state income taxes on it. I know that California has some pretty solid municipal bond funds, so I take $25 million of that money, put it into California municipal bonds, and target about a 4% income. So I'd be pulling out about $1 million a year in income from that $25 million portfolio. Now here's the cool thing. Those municipal bond funds are totally accessible. So at any time you could take out, you could sell or add more to those investments, and it becomes basically a savings account that's invested that you're making $1 million a year in income. And assuming that you're making at least that 4% every year, you're never touching the principal. So you're making $1 million a year tax-free, not touching the principal. That is the way that I'd like to start. Now keep in mind, we're talking about investing first and not spending it. Now I'm sure there's a ton of things that you would spend the money on, probably a lot of things you would invest the money on too. So leave a comment below and tell me, what would you invest or spend that money in if you won that $160 million cash prize? But let's keep going. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put $10 million into a multifamily real estate apartment. I actually found a pretty cool one here right in Orlando. This is a 69 unit apartment building. It's for sale for about $10.3 million. I'm assuming that at a cash deal, we probably negotiate it down to $10 million. So let's say we'd spend $10 million on this deal. It says it's got a 7.92% cap rate. To keep things simple, that's basically the amount of income that you can generate from that property. Let's just call it 8% so that we can keep the number simple here. So at a $10 million investment, 8% cap rate, we're gonna pull another $800,000 a year from this investment. Now, I'm already excited. In this apartment building, I'd have a property manager that I'm paying a salary to. It's probably already calculated in the cap rate. If not, maybe it'll make a little bit more money. And so you're not really gonna have to do much with managing this property. So you're gonna be able to sit back and just collect the checks, which is a very nice thing. All right, so we still have $65 million left to spend, and we're already gonna have $1.8 million a year in income. I mean, this is great. And we're not even touching the principal yet. I'm excited. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take $7.5 million and I'm gonna buy a shopping center. Yes, I said a shopping center. So I found a retail shopping center that's a cool shopping center here in Orlando where I'm currently living. Now we'd want to be strategic about this investment. Amazon is shutting down a lot of businesses. So we want to make sure we're buying a shopping center that is pretty Amazon proof. This shopping center that I found, it's in Orlando. It's offered at $7.5 million. Again, we'd probably be able to get a better deal, but let's just go with that $7.5 million number. And it's at 100% occupancy, which means that all of the place is rented. That's a great thing. It has a 7.6% cap rate. And so I'm just gonna use 7.5%. So at 7.5% on this property, we're gonna generate another $562,500 a year in income. Woo, this is getting exciting. We are already at over $2.3 million a year. We haven't even touched the principal. We still have $57.5 million left. We've already paid our taxes and we are good. So the next thing that I do is I take $10 million and invest it in residential real estate. Why residential real estate? Because we want to be diversified in the real estate that we're investing in. So we already have a multi-unit, we have commercial real estate, now we're going to do some residential real estate. I'm going to hire a team of realtors, and when I say hire, they're going to make their commissions based off of the properties that we're purchasing. So I'm not even going to have to pay them. We're going to put together a committee, we're going to find a ton of residential real estate options that are generating income. I'm gonna hire a property management company, maybe even 2 property management companies so that I make sure I have my eggs not really in one basket. At that point, you can start your own property management company and then pay yourself to manage your own properties if you wanted to, but let's not get crazy here. All right, so $10 million in real estate. I'm assuming that we can get at least a 5% rate of return on that real estate, so we're generating another $500,000 a year in income. Again, we have not even touched the principal of this money, and based on how we're pulling our income, we are just taking out the dividends that are generated by these investments. So none of the principal is being touched. We still have all of the money that's invested, and we're going to assume that that money over the long term, next 20, 30 years, is going to continue to grow. So this is getting really exciting. So now we've got $47.5 million left to spend. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another $25 million and I'm going to put it in a Vanguard fund. This Vanguard fund is a combination of stocks, bonds, and alternative investments. It specializes in targeting to create a 4% income from that portfolio. And so another 25 million at 4%, you got it. It's another $1 million a year in income, guys. $1 million a year. Well, at this point, we've got about $22.5 million left, and we've invested about $78.7 million. And now we've got about $3.8 million in annual income that's being generated from our investments. Again, our investments, we are making the assumption that those things are continuing to grow. Now you've got $22.5 million left to spend on whatever you want. So buy your dream home, buy multiple homes, dream cars, charity, vacation, give money to family, do whatever you want with the money, because you're still gonna have a $78 million investment portfolio that's generating over $3.8 million a year of income for yourself. Every year, $3.8 million a year in income. To give you some perspective, that is over $321,000 a month in income, and it's over $74,000 a week in income. What could you do with $74,000 a week in income, a $78 million portfolio, and that $22.5 million that you may or may not have spent? Guys, this has been fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you win the lottery, follow this plan. You'll stay rich forever, because we all know that about 70% of lottery winners wind up ending up broke. Actually, I found a statistic that out of Florida jackpot winners, over 70% of them 5 years later didn't have a dime left of the money. And guys, here's why. Is because when it comes to financial success, it's all about your belief system and your mindset. I mean, how many times have you met people that have made a good investment, lost it all, made a good investment, lost it all, been in debt, out of debt, been in debt, out of debt? It becomes a cycle because they haven't changed their mindset, their belief system. And so no matter what they keep doing, they keep ending up in the same situation. And so if you want to transform your life financially, you've got to make sure to transform your belief system. If you win the lottery, give me a call. I'll make sure that you do the right thing with the money. I'll see you guys next time.